going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to the official DBL playoff preview. Now joining me today is DBL's own, the man behind the camera, Chris Fong, also known as CFO. How's it going?
What's up, guys? It's different to be on the other side of the lens now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So let's get right into it. So let's take a look at the Elite Division playoff matches.
Let's do it.
Starting with the first place team, the Wolves. They're going to be going up against a team that actually just snuck into the playoffs, Home Net Men. What are your thoughts?
The Wolves are an exciting team to watch this year. They made a couple additions to their team with Nathaniel Russell and Joey Jarvis, and they look impressive. They can rebound, they can shoot the three, they get to the basket very easily against all teams, but Home Net Men they've had some close games, so it's going to be interesting to watch. They got a lot of shooters, they got some good size on their team. They just need to finish the games.
Yeah, definitely. One thing about the Wolves that I find interesting is just seeing the progression of Dre Russell. We saw him a few seasons ago with the Spartans, and then last season he brought the Wolves team in. Their season ended a little earlier than they had wanted it to. Yep. So he kind of made the necessary changes, not only to the team but to himself. You can kind of see it in his game. He's developed in some areas that he didn't really. He developed some skills that he didn't really have before, and I think he's more of an offensive threat now. So, what do you think? What do you think the Wolves need from him to be successful?
I think they just need his leadership and his vocal abilities and how he's able to lead their team into the last second half of the game and really just calm everybody down and just make sure that everybody does what they do, and I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. There's not too many people that we see on his team who are kind of like in that role, who can kind of calm the team down. A lot of them just play with so much fire, including Dre Russell. He's one of the most passionate players you'll ever see. So it's kind of like almost like a change of pace for him to have to step into that role.
For sure.
To kind of just look at things from the outside and kind of have his team look at things more objectively throughout the game. So I think another great addition was Christian Garospi.
Yep.
We've seen him play in the past with other teams, but he really just brings this additional ball handler that the team needs.
Yeah, definitely coming off the bench, he brings that spark and that energy that they need.
Another great thing that really sets the team apart from last year is having another ball handler in Christian, because last season they really only had Tyrell Thomas.
Yep.
So things kind of, the team struggled a little when he had to sub off because he was really the only ball handler, and we actually saw Dre Russell take a lot of the point guard responsibilities last season. Yeah. And not to say that he couldn't do it, but it almost took him out of his element of where he could have been, the most effective.
I think this year we've also seen Joey Jarvis take the ball up a lot, and that presents a lot of mismatches for other teams because a lot of other teams have smaller guards, so he's able to kind of work his magic and kind of do his thing over the top and find people open for the shots.
Yeah, definitely. With Home Net Men, I guess the two sparks of that team are Anto and Levon.
Yeah.
They're really the main source of points and scoring for that team. Yep. So they really have to come ready, and they have been coming ready every game. They've really helped their team, every game, and have put them in a position to win. But they just haven't been able to kind of get over that hump at the end of the game. For sure. So, but I know Anto. I know he'll come ready.
Yeah, that if that's one guy you don't want to leave open, it's Anto. Yeah, for sure. He'll knock down every single shot.
For sure. If he misses this first 10, you can't really let up because he'll probably make the next 10 or 20. So. Okay, moving on to the second and 7th place matchup, Tobin versus IBs. Tobin, who's the reigning champions, they've come into the season with a completely different team. The only ones that are remaining really are Nabil, Jama, Joshua Mutu, and Jake Jandu.
Yeah.
Everyone else is pretty much new. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, you can see over the last couple of games they've been gaining more chemistry. with each other and kind of getting used to playing different roles than they're used to probably. So I think it's a good thing because they've been on a kind of a win streak lately, so they're definitely gonna do well in the playoffs. And the IBeast is gonna be a tough matchup against them because they do have size.
Yeah, it's just from a size standpoint, Tobin has a huge size advantage.
Yeah.
And it's not just a problem for a team like IBeast, but it's a problem for pretty much anyone else in the league. I guess for IBeast to be successful, I think they really need to leverage on what's worked for them in the past.
For sure.
As Xavier Tigers, coming into this season as IBeast, I think we were all excited to see guys like Asari Sarpong and Corey Fernandez.
Yep.
The dynamic's a little bit different. They're not, the team focus and, their offense is running a bit differently. But, it doesn't really take away from what we know what those guys can do.
Definitely. You can't leave them open either, right?
Yeah.
So they'll hit every shot. So.
Yeah, so Asari's been out for a while, so, hopefully he can make it back for the playoffs because, as a former MVP of the league as well, that he's capable of taking over a game.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of former MVPs, they can't forget to contain Nabil and Jake, both former MVPs. So they definitely have a tough matchup considering those two have been playing the 3-4 positions sometimes and sometimes even the 1 position. So it's going to be tough for them to kind of match up with that.
Yeah, definitely. I think in order for IBeast to be successful in this one, they really have to stop the transition offense for Tobin.
Yeah.
In the fast break and anything on transition, they just finish so well.
Yeah.
And that's not just talking about Paul Campbell or Byron Jr. who just dunk it at every chance they can get, but guys like Nabil and Jake, who are very lanky as well.
Yep.
They run the floor well and they finish around the rim really well. So I think IBeast just really has to focus on finding a way to kind of minimize the transition offense for Tobin.
And even I think the second chance points, getting off the rebounds, they have to contain them off the glass and try to push them out and for sure try to make sure that they don't get those second chance points.
Yeah, definitely. I think Brian Quazon will definitely have his hands full.
For sure.
He's a legit power forward for sure, but he's going up against guys who are probably half a foot taller than him, so he'll have to really do his best to keep those guys out of the paint.
Yeah.
So, all right, moving on to the 4th and 5th place matchup, Allin and the City. What do you think?
So Allin took a tough loss to end the season last week, but I think they'll bounce back. I think they'll regroup as a team, and Justin will make sure that everybody is on the same page and that they're all in it to win it for the playoffs. And the City's a good team. They have good shooters. Trey Lawson obviously is one of our 3-point specialists in the league. But I think Allin with their size, I think they'll definitely have an advantage. But not to say that the City's not going to do well against them and put up a good fight for them.
Yeah, I think you have a guy like Trey Lawson who's really just a force. He's one of those guys that really takes over the game for his team. He doesn't really sit back. He's not the type of player to sit back and watch his players kind of emerge. He's the guy who really asserts himself into the offense, which is great because he's so good at he's great at shooting. He's great at breaking his man down and driving, finishing in the lane. Allin, they're a really well-rounded team. Devo Rodney had a great game a few games ago where he was just lights out. Colin Garraway, who's another former MVP of the league, he can score at will from anywhere, really. He's a force in the paint. He's really strong and can finish in the post. He can stretch the floor too and finish on the outside with his 3-point shot.
He's definitely their floor general. But they do also have some inside presence with Nathan Abdul, so he's going to be a force to stop, and Alden's going to have to try to contain him on the rebounds for sure.
Yeah, definitely. The thing about Trey Lawson is that he's really one of those guys that really tries to step up and set himself apart from everyone else.
Yeah.
He's not really the type of person to sit back and wait for his teammates. He loves controlling the game. he loves to step up and just set himself apart that way. So if he can kind of get into the flow early, and if his team can kind of be on the same page in working together to get him going early, I think this team has a good chance at advancing.
For sure.
And you know, as Alden's defense maybe clamps down and focuses more on Trey Lawson, I think that's the opportunity for other guys to kind of step up for the team, like Marlon Gamera, Daishan Pierre,
For sure.
all of which who can hit, you know, the outside shot and can pretty much take over the game themselves as well.
Yeah.
So, moving on, we have the Sharks against Toronto United.
That's gonna be a good matchup.
Definitely. I'm a big fan of Toronto United. I'm a big fan of Tommy Wu and everything that he's done. Not just this season, but you know, all the seasons leading up to this one.
For sure.
He's just one of those players who has progressively improved, and he really tries his best to lead his team. He's such a fierce competitor, and I love it. You know, I think a lot of other teams may, you know, underestimate him because of his size.
Yeah.
But man, you can't really measure him in his heart, because he's just one of those. You know, he's probably one of the toughest competitors you'll ever find. Toronto United, though, they're definitely a team who I think is better than what their record shows.
Yeah, they've had a lot of injuries over the season. Their big man Jason Yu's been out. Their best defender Daniel Wong has been out for a while. So with those two being out, I think it definitely hurt them. But they've been in a lot of close games. So it's not to say that they couldn't have won a lot of those. So definitely fun to watch team.
I think losing Daniel Wong was huge. He's arguably their best on-ball defender.
Yep.
Maybe even one of the best on-ball defenders in the league. But you never know. He's such a competitor too, and I've seen him try and get into games where he was injured before. He's just one of those guys who loves to play even if he's injured.
Even last season in the championship and leading up to the finals, he was pretty banged up. He had a hurt ankle, so I knew he fought through that, but he still defended their best players on the opposing team. So it's good to see from him for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a firm believer if you're 70% or 80%, sometimes that's still better than you not being in the game at all.
For sure.
And Daniel Wong is just one of those game-changing defenders. So hopefully he can lace it up. But if he can't, you know, I'm sure the team will make the necessary adjustments. We've also seen guys like Johnson Chow and Ed Lee emerge as some of the best shooters in the league. I think Ed Lee is shooting an incredible 70% or something.
Yep.
So he's really, you know, stepped up. He kind of came out of nowhere.
He did.
You know, last season he played with Markham, and we didn't really see that much production from him.
I think this year he's got a bigger role on Toronto United. He's able to bring the ball up at sometimes, and he's definitely a good 3-point threat for them for sure.
Yeah. What do you think of the Sharks?
I think they're a great team. They added Brad Smith this year. In combination with Daniel Betterman and David Young, I think it provides for a strong backcourt, and definitely their ability to work inside and shoot the outside shot is definitely it's hard up to match up with for a lot of teams for sure.
Yeah, I was actually expecting David Young to have a better season, and not to say he's had a bad season at all. It's more so just basing it on what we saw from him last season with Toronto Thunder. I think we're using that level of expectation into this season. Last season he was a legit MVP candidate. We saw him. We saw what he could do inside and out. You know, he can finish inside, he can shoot the three, he can create for his teammates. So I think we all kind of just, you know, when we heard he was coming back, we were expecting that same level from him.
We were definitely excited to watch him play again.
Definitely. But that's, again, nothing against him. It's more so just the type of team that he's brought in, especially with guys like Daniel Betterman and Brad Smith.
Yep.
Brad Smith has really emerged as a force in the league, probably one of the best big men.
For sure.
He had, what was it, like a 40-point game?
A 4-point game, an alley-oop dunk.
Yeah.
He's kind of he's a guy you can't underestimate. I think he can go inside. He has great footwork. He can shoot the mid-range shot, so he's definitely a threat kind of on both ends too.
Yeah.
He's a great defender too. He's got a couple key blocks in late game
I think
situations
with,
too, for sure.
with David Young bringing Brad Smith and keeping Daniel Betterman, kind of gives David the opportunity to play the 3 a little bit more, which creates mismatch problems for other teams because he's so tall, and especially because he can hit the 3 as well. So he just creates a lot of matchup problems for other teams. Let's move on to the Open Division playoff matches. Let's start with the first place Bad Boys. They're going up against the Smash Brothers. What do you think?
I think Bad Boys are they're a great team. They did lose Negus to the NBL. He's playing with Halifax, but I think for sure Norman Pinola, Jan Ong, Jameel Williamson. I think they're all definitely threats on both ends of the court, and then they do have a great inside presence as well. The Smash Bros are going to have their hands full, definitely on the inside and on the 3-point line for sure.
I think, when the team lost Negus, congratulations to Negus once again.
Yep.
But I think when the team lost Negus, a lot of teams may have written the Bad Boys off. But that's not the case. If anything, it created more opportunity for guys like Norman Pinola and Jameel Williamson.
For sure.
Norm, we all know, we're all familiar with what he can do. He's a former MVP candidate of the league. He's one of the best scorers. He has great footwork. He can create his shot pretty much against any type of defender.
Mm-hmm.
And Jameel Williamson, I really like his game. He's a versatile 2-guard. He's strong. He can drive, and he can pretty much light it up at any given moment too. So and I guess the engine that kind of brings it together is Jan Ong. He's one of the up-tempo, fast-paced point guards that really likes to push it on offense. So, having these 3 on the court at the same time, it's really it's a tough matchup for anyone. For the Smash Bros, I mean, defensively, they're definitely going to have their hands full.
For sure.
And on offense, they really just have to make sure they come out, mentally focused and prepared.
Yeah.
We know that this team can light it up. They're full of 3-point shooters. They have the Galsey brothers, Alex Yakovenko, even their big man, Jeff Therian, who can stretch the floor. If you ever see him lingering outside on the 3-point line, you can't really just leave him because he actually likes to hit that 3. But that's a problem, unfortunately. This team kind of lives and dies by the 3. So they'll definitely have to do what they can to make sure that they come out, shooting well.
Yeah, I think the one drawback for the Smash Bros is definitely their inside presence versus the Bad Boys. The Bad Boys have a great inside presence, getting second chance points, getting those offensive rebounds. I think they definitely do a great job at that with Jeff Simeon and the rest of their guys. So I think they're definitely going to have their hands full on the inside.
Yeah, definitely. Adam Zoney too. He's just one of those physical bruisers.
Yep.
He does all the little things that you don't see on the stat sheet. He fights for rebounds. He'll set screens.
He's one of those guys you hate to play.
Okay, moving on to the next matchup. We have the second place Allin team against 7th Warriors.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
It's going to be fun to watch them play against the Warriors. They got a great team with Ochenang brothers, Colin Garraway, Russell Lagman, all the returning players. They just light it up from wherever they are, and they're going to do great, I think.
The thing about Allin is that they're such a consistent team. They have great consistency, and they have a great core. And because they've maintained that core, their chemistry is just on point. And they do a great job at just building around those guys.
Yeah, for sure.
The Ochenang brothers, you know what you're going to get from them. Justin Oy, Jan Oy, Russell Lagman, they all know their roles. Same with Colin Garraway.
For sure.
And the addition of Ediful this year has really, opened up this team and has really, kind of elevated them to the next level, I think. He's just one of those versatile scorers that can really do it all. And it's easy to underestimate him because he's a smaller guy, but you learn really quickly.
He's probably one of the fastest players in the league, so you definitely want to keep your position on him and make sure he doesn't get by.
Create some matchup problems for the Warriors, I think, just from the point guard position because their only point guard really is Ian Wu.
Yep.
And he'll have his hands full. trying to guard Ediful and the Ochaning brothers.
Yep.
So it's a little bit tough. But you can't really sleep on the Warriors because sometimes you don't really know what you're going to get from them.
For sure.
And sometimes that works in their favor.
It does.
Because last season they upset the Wildcats in the first round,
Yep.
and no one was expecting that.
I think they need a big performance from Joe Garrett this weekend. I think he's going to be a big difference maker up on the inside. He can post up. He can shoot the 3-point shot. He likes to kind of mix it up with his game. So I definitely think the Warriors kind of need to go to him to kind of start the game and see where
a
it
big
goes
game
from
from
there.
Joe, just from a size and a height,
Yep.
advantage. And unfortunately, the Warriors are without Ryan Crowley. They lost him to injury.
Yeah.
But if anything, that's just more of an opportunity for guys like Donovan Ngo and Claude and those guys. So hopefully they can all just bring it together.
For sure.
Moving on to the next matchup, Wildcats and Dynasty. What do you think?
So it's going to be commissioner versus commissioner. We're kind of biased to this preview, but the Wildcats are a great team, always led by Chris Ortiz. Idris is a scoring threat all the time, and then this year they did add Alex Gao. I think he's been a good inside presence for them for sure. And then they still have Richard Artwell definitely getting those rebounds and getting inside for sure.
The great thing about the Wildcats, and I preach this all the time, is that they never lose their composure. They're one of the most consistent teams in the league, and they've always have been. Whether they're up 20 or they're down 20, they play the same way, and that's a great contributor to their success.
For sure.
There's been a lot of games where they've been down, and because they've maintained their composure and they've stuck to the plan, they've been able to kind of grind out those late game wins. And yeah, you said it, like Idris, Valid, Jamal Witter, like these are guys who've been there for a while, and you know what they're gonna you know what you're gonna get from them.
For sure.
Dynasty, I think they're another team that is probably a little bit better than their record shows.
Yep.
They've had a bunch of games where they had to play without Roderick Ramsey and Anton Katipunan, which basically make up their whole front court.
Yeah.
So it's been tough for them. But their guard play is pretty solid, I think.
Yeah, I think Davey this year has been lighting it up. He had a 30-point game against the Bad Boys this season, so definitely he'll be one of the guys that the Wildcats have to look to contain. We definitely can't forget Thomas Strong. He's the rec league MVP. He can score from anywhere. He likes to be aggressive. He's been injured the last couple of weeks, so it's going to be interesting to see what the holiday break has done to him and see if he recovered at all.
Yeah, and I think Ricardo Brown has really emerged as a threat too. He's probably one of the better combo guards in the league. He can play the point. He can play the 2 guard. He can finish inside. He finishes on the fast break.
Yep.
So, he's a really exciting player to watch. So, combining him with Davey and Thomas, it's they have a lot of potential to do a lot of damage.
For sure.
Okay, now heading into the final matchup of the Open Division playoffs, we have the 4 and 5 matchup. Sorry, 3 and 6 matchup, right?
Yeah.
Team Squad and Cloud9.
I think this is definitely going to be one of the most exciting playoff matchups in the Open Division. Cloud9 lately they've been gaining momentum. I think definitely with Nathaniel Osborne doing well lately. He's been leading their team. They've lost a couple of close games, but not to say that they're not going to put up a good fight against Toon Squad. Toon Squad, one of the late additions to the league. We know how they play. And with Randy Danso and Alex Narain, I think it's going to be an exciting matchup.
Yeah, you always know that Alex Narain, Randy Danso, and Toon Squad are going to perform at a high level.
Yep.
And they were the runner-ups last season, so they're just a legit team. You know what you're going to get from them. But I like Cloud9 too. Like they've been playing well as of late. Nathaniel Osborne, as you mentioned, he's been playing at an MVP level.
For sure.
He's really emerged as the team's leader. And then they have Liam Bishop, who's just an athletic, lanky, 2 guard, maybe small forward, who can run the floor.
Yep.
He can shoot. He can dunk on the fast break. Craig Hansen has also been, consistent in the second part of the season.
Yeah,
He's
been a good facilitator for their team for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You can't really leave him alone because he's he's a smart player. He knows what to do, and I think the team's success also relies heavily on how their point guard does, Mustaf, and their shooting guard Abdullah.
Sure.
Those guys are really key components to the entire puzzle. They really need to bring it as well.
Yeah.
And I think they will. Those guys are fierce competitors. They really have that never say die attitude, which is great. I think they're friends with a bunch of the Toon Squad guys, so it should be
an interesting matchup for sure.
But yeah, Toon Squad, they have the experience. They've been there. They've been through the playoffs. They've grinded it out to the finals. They know what it takes.
Yeah.
Danzo's a former MVP as well, so you know that he can pretty much turn it up at any time.
They're a fast-paced team too, so you got to contain them on the fast break and make sure they don't leak out. They got athletic forwards. They got an athletic point guard, so it's going to be interesting to watch for sure.
And the addition of Aaron Martin too is solid too.
Yeah.
He's that guy who, he's good for a good couple of threes a game. He's good at creating for his other teammates.
Yep.
And he just has a good head on his shoulders too. He's always maintaining his composure throughout the game, whether the game is going his way or not. He's kind of got that laser in focus.
Yeah, I think his leadership is what's going to guide them into the next round of the playoffs and make sure that they do well is because of Aaron Martin for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, that wraps up the playoff preview for the upcoming season, and thanks for joining us, guys. Take care.